Had a few messages and people asking a little bit more about the classified system. So I thought it might be helpful to do a quick kind of classified for dummies, as it were. Not saying that anyone out there is dummies, but I think if I sort of explain it the way that I see it, because I'm definitely not a techie person and definitely not a bike techie person, as many of you might have seen from the various issues I've got myself into. Just thought it might be helpful to give the kind of really basic, this is how it works, this is what it does, these are the kind of scenarios you might want it. Quick one, huge favour to ask. So this year we're trying to improve everything that we're creating, and we don't ask for much, but one thing that would help us hugely would be if you could just hit that subscriber button. Thank you. So I guess in a nutshell, the classified system is basically a hub-based shifter. That means that you can run one buy on all of your bikes and still have the range of gears. On my race TT bike, I've got a 58 front ring and a 34 cassette on the back. But with the classified, that gives me the equivalent of a 40 inner ring. So you still get that equivalent of the smaller inner ring without the kind of potential downfalls of having a 2x. So I guess much less risk of your chain coming off as you switch from like big ring to little ring. I think the other thing that surprised me at how good it was is also just how well it shifts under force. As you're coming to the crest of a hill, you can go straight on the classified shifter to kind of shift from sort of like little ring to big ring, as it were, under whatever force you could possibly put on it, and it'll do it instantly, which I think anyone who's kind of been on a 2x, you've had that like where it kind of stutters a little bit or it kind of jumps a bit or it's not that smooth. So I think that instant shift for me is probably one of the biggest benefits of like, especially on quite lumpy terrain. But yeah, I thought it was just helpful to give you get the same equivalent of gears just on a 1x with really good instant shifting under load, and that's it. The setup is actually relatively easy. I've managed to set up all of my classified hubs. You basically get, well, it depends how you buy it, but the way that I've had it, I'll get my parkour wheels. They come with a hub ready to set up the classified hub. Basically pop the hub in, then you put the cassette on kind of relatively as normal. It's just a different hub that sits in there. You then have your through axle, which is the classified through axle, which you do need to charge. So it is one extra thing to charge, but with the app, it gives you like good warning of when stuff's getting low on battery, super easy. You then have like either one button or two buttons, depending on which one you've bought. So you can now buy the twin wires, which I've got on the TT bike, so I can have shifting at the, like on the bars and on the hoods. And that then all goes into like a little, almost like a blip box, which goes into a little box, which you then just have to pair that to your through axle. Super easy again, it's like similar to any kind of pairing of any electronic gears. And then you're ready to go. The good thing as well is you don't have to then pair it to the wheel. So like I can swap any of my classified wheels, like the parkour classified wheels, into the bike that I've got, and as long as I'm using the right through axle, it works. It's also, again, super easy to swap that. So I'll always travel to races with like a spare classified through axle and also a spare, it has like it's not a hanger, but I would say it's similar to a hanger that goes on the other side that sits and goes onto the bottom of your brake caliper. sort of, I think that's the right word, which that helps give the tension for it to change in the hub. So I always have a spare one of that, because that's the other thing but again, I always carry a spare hanger. So it's not like you're not having to bring lots of extra things. It's all very easy to set up. You can play around with all the settings in the app. So if you have like both buttons, at the moment I've got it set up that I've got the one on my bars to go into the easier ring and the one on my hoods to go into the harder ring. But you can also set it up so that they both do both. So yeah, lots of options. Like all bike things, it depends a little bit on your setup as to how easy the integration is. But I think there's lots of options now. Like at the moment, I've got my wires just like taped onto the bars in the best, like in the most aero place. There's an option coming soon to have like thinner wires that I should then be able to put through my bars. So then it'll be like fully integrated. And I think the end goal is to move towards wireless, but that will take some time. But yeah, I think if you look at most TT bikes, I think it's quite easy to get it set up in a way that doesn't take away from any of the aero benefits. Yes, I've got it on all of my bikes. Gravel, road, everything. And again, I actually think in gravel it's great because I think it's one of the things you see a lot in gravel races, people dropping chains. So only having a one by, but obviously in gravel you get some like super steep bits, or you need just like that extra range of gears. So having that option without the risk of a chain drop is really good. And yeah, on the road bike, it's just like one less bit of sort of tech on my bike from having a 2x that I have to worry about. So yeah, it's nice to ride, I like it.